Founders Hall, a 25,000 square foot building that's been under construction since last June, behind the main seminary and Roland Center buildings on the campus of Burr and Burton Academy, is nearing completion. A ribbon cutting and an opening ceremony is being planned for August 21st. Once it's finished, the building will house the school's English and Social Studies departments, as well as the school's library. It will also house a makerspace. The keynote of the building may be its sweeping staircase and atrium, which on clear days at least, will offer some ready-for-your-cell-phone photo opportunities. Turn around, and the view back towards the school's signature bell tower will be equally compelling for many. This top level of the building, which houses the bell tower room, will be a conference center and a meeting space. Back last May, we had a chance to follow Headmaster Mark Tashian around the building as he described what the various spaces will be used for.
The lead architect on this project is Kyle Murphy, who was a graduate in 2007. We charged Kyle with two overarching objectives. Number one was to design a building that looked to the future while honoring the past. And number two was to create a building that fit uniquely into its setting. That was from an aesthetic standpoint. And then, obviously, from a working standpoint, it has to work internally as a center for integrated studies. So inside this building, we're going to have English, social studies, a beautiful library that climbs up a 3-story atrium, and then we'll have a makerspace, a STEAM lab. So it will integrate those disciplines, and our whole proposition is that architecture can support a new way of approaching education. So if you look behind me while I'm on a roll, I'm gonna ask you to direct the camera up at the building. You can see a couple of key features. The first thing I want you to notice is that the mountain, which has always been a prominent part of Burr and Burton, remains prominent. So Kyle designed a building that frames the mountain and actually enhances our view of the mountain rather than detracts from it. The building itself is clad in Vermont slate, and so we wanted to have a natural material, but a new way of using a traditional material. And then as we go in, you'll see that there's this grand space up at the top. We call it the bell tower room, and when completed, it will have giant floor-to-ceiling windows and will allow you to look out over the bell tower, which is kind of a symbol of our history, look over the bell tower and onto the East Mountains. It's going to climb up these risers, up 3 stories, and kids will be able to flop around on, these are stairs that are designed to be sat on. So it's a little bit inspired by the European piazzas, but you climb up the stairs, and then there will also be platforms where we have more traditional seatings, tables and chairs. And then down here, there'll be tables and chairs, couches, lounge furniture. One of the ideas for how we outfit this building is that there are different strokes for different folks. And one thing we've learned is that kids, and actually people, have different tastes in how they like to sit and where they want to work. And so we want to provide a building that has all different kinds of seating, so that if you're informal and you want to flop around and half lie down, you can do that. If you want to sit at a table, you can do that. If you want to sit in a lounge chair, you can do that. If you want to sit in a stool, kind of Starbucks style, you can do that. So different strokes for different folks. The other thing is the building itself is organized into 4 different neighborhoods. And the idea is we create learning neighborhoods, and I'll explain that when we go in. Okay. So we're now in our first learning neighborhood. A learning neighborhood is comprised of a common room, and then we have classrooms that are arranged off of the common space. So one of the architectural concepts was, rather than have a long hallway and classrooms off of the hallway, we create a larger room and have the classrooms off of that room. That way the room itself, you can think of this as 3 hallways all stacked together, it becomes a much more usable space. We can put furniture in here, and it allows flow through, but it also gives students a place to work. So when they're in a classroom, they can spill out and use this common space. Over here, you can see we have a garage door, and this is our answer to the removable wall. You pull it down, you have a separate classroom, you pull it up, and we've enhanced this space and created a larger space. Over here, if you look out the window, one of Kyle's propositions is that great architecture makes you look at what's around it differently. And so he specifically said he didn't want to design a look at me building. He wanted to design a building that allowed us to look at other things and see them differently. So here we have our bell tower, very nicely framed, and you'll see other views of our buildings and of the mountains and the valley. And again, that's all part of an intentional design to see what's around us rather than just focus on the building itself. So now we're on the second floor. We'll have counter seating here, looking out over the library and this, again, this grand atrium space. And then when we come in here, we'll be coming into another learning neighborhood. This is the common space, and in this case, we have 2 classrooms off of this learning neighborhood. So it's a smaller learning neighborhood. Then we'll walk down the hall. Over here is our teacher collaboration space. They can be inspired again by the views of the bell tower. And then you can see again, we're creating all these open views, and at the top of the library common area, that will be a floor-to-ceiling window that will be looking out on the mountain. So that should be quite dramatic once we get rid of all this scaffolding. Big, spacious, high ceilings. We have exposed workings of the building. We want kids to know, and we want anyone to know, this is how the building works. I think all too often we hide the working part of the building, and in this case, we want people to be able to see how the building is carrying air and supporting itself. So check out this view, looking out on the mountains, down the valley, and you can start to see that we're starting to be able to look up over the bell tower building, the seminary building, and see the mountains behind it. There'll be more of that as we go up further. See all the exposed mechanicals with the acoustic ceiling. That's all on purpose. And then each classroom has a teaching wall, which will have this nice accent color and projector, and then there'll be whiteboards on either side. Part of the seminary building, and we're bringing our access program right up into the heart of campus. And that way those kids will be able to spill right out on the courtyard, and they'll be in the heart of campus and, fully immersed in our community.
The former parking area behind the school will become a courtyard. Construction on the $20 million project, a philanthropic gift of Barry and Wendy Rowland, is on track. The lead architect of the project is Kyle Murphy, a member of the school's graduating class of 2007. He spoke with us in May about his thinking and the development of the project, which is intended to honor the school's past while also pointing a direction for the future.
Anytime you're doing any sort of institutional academic work, it's like you're balancing the needs and wishes of so many people. It's like we had 70 faculty that we had to kind of I don't know if it was that many. It was quite a few people that were involved in our workshops, and it's always about kind of distilling down all of the requests and opinions that we're getting into like a kind of a hierarchy of what's most important in the building, like how do we kind of satisfy the biggest things, and and at the same time be creative about, creating spaces that can be flexible and can serve more than one use. So we're not kind of siloing one department or one type of use into the building. There's kind of I want to say like a social sustainability aspect to the project, where it's like how sustainable is it in terms of the use, is that it's gonna set the stage for generations to come. So I think that was something that was very much on our mind. The other one I would say is the site itself is, I mean, it's incredible the way it's like straddling between the bottom of the mountain and the existing campus. So it's this amazing opportunity to, as we've started saying, it's like we're kind of bridging the history of the school into like what is the future, but at the same time honoring the past that we're coming from. What makes that site so incredible is that we're kind of connecting up to that upper part of the campus. So we really had this opportunity to create kind of like a thoroughfare through the building that will come up through that main stair, and we'll give that connection up to that upper part of the campus. So it's, I think that in that sense it'll be successful. But it's not so much about, I mean, even though the building is very different than anything that's on the campus, we're not really so interested in creating kind of a look at me building. I think it's more about like the views that we're framing from the inside, and getting people maybe to look at, for instance, the bell tower, where that top room is going to look like. Maybe, you're seeing that in a new light from a new vantage point. And I would hope that would instill a lot of pride in the school, both in the students and the faculty.
The ambitious project, launched in the midst of the COVID pandemic when uncertainty about what lay ahead was at its height, will soon be serving its multiple educational purposes and open just in time to welcome students returning from summer vacation. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.